Have you ever felt utterly alone, even when you're in a room full of people? It's a strange, quiet ache, isn't it? A whisper from deep inside that tells you something fundamental is missing. We spend so much of our lives chasing connections, seeking validation, and trying to fill a void that seems to grow wider with every effort. But what if that feeling, that sense of solitude, isn't a void at all? What if it's not a punishment for being disconnected, but an invitation to finally meet the one person you've been avoiding your entire life, your true self? This is a story about that journey. It's a story for anyone who has ever felt lost in the crowd, for anyone who has looked in the mirror and seen a stranger. It's a story about finding the light that has always been within you, waiting patiently in the quiet moments. So, take a deep breath, and let's step into a world where solitude isn't emptiness, but the beginning of everything. In a quiet, forgotten village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a woman named Avila. To the outside world, she had it all. She had chased success with a relentless spirit, achieved professional milestones, and built a life that many would envy. She had known love, or at least what she thought was love, passionate, fleeting connections that left her feeling more hollow than whole. She was surrounded by acquaintances, yet she had never felt more isolated. Every laugh at a party felt forced, every conversation a performance. She was standing at the peak of a mountain she had spent her life climbing, only to realize she was completely and utterly alone. The world was at her feet, yet she felt nothing. One evening, as a fiery sunset bled across the horizon, painting the mountains in hues of orange and purple, a profound weariness settled over Aveline. She couldn't bear another moment of the echoing silence in her perfectly curated home. Seeking an escape, or perhaps an answer, she walked away from the village lights and into the deepening shadows of the forest that bordered her home. The air grew cool, and the familiar sounds of the village faded, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the distant call of an owl. She walked without a destination, letting her feet carry her deeper into the woods, her heart heavy with a question she couldn't yet form into words. As twilight settled, she came across a small clearing. There, seated on a fallen log, beside a single, softly glowing lantern, was an old woman. Her face was a tapestry of wrinkles, each line telling a story, and her eyes held a calm, knowing depth. She didn't seem surprised to see Aveline. She simply smiled, a gentle, welcoming expression that seemed to soothe a part of Aveline's frayed soul. Aveline stopped, unsure of what to say. The old woman gestured to the space beside her on the log. "You are lost," she said, her voice like the gentle rustling of leaves. It wasn't a question, but a statement of fact. Aveline could only nod, a lump forming in her throat. "I feel so empty," she whispered, the words finally escaping. The old woman's smile widened. She looked from Aveline to the flickering flame in the lantern. "My dear," she began, her voice soft but clear, "you believe loneliness is a punishment, a sign that you are unwanted. But that is not its nature. Loneliness is not a void to be filled by others. It is the path home. It is the quiet space where your soul has been patiently waiting for you to return." Those words hung in the air, simple yet profound. Aveline had always seen her loneliness as a failure, a flaw she needed to fix. The idea that it could be a path, a journey homeward, was entirely new. Intrigued and strangely comforted, she sat down beside the old woman, her gaze fixed on the warm, steady light of the lantern. That night, for the first time in years, Aveline didn't run from the silence. She stayed. At first, the silence was deafening, almost oppressive. Every worry, every regret, every anxious thought of Aline had been suppressing rushed to the surface. The noise in her mind was a storm, and she felt the familiar urge to flee, to find a distraction, to fill the quiet with anything at all. But the old woman sat peacefully beside her presence a silent anchor, and the lantern flame danced, steady and unwavering, a single point of focus in the overwhelming dark. So Aveline stayed. She closed her eyes and just breathed, in and out, slowly, tentatively. She began to listen not to the chaos in her head, but to the world beyond it. She heard the gentle whisper of the wind as it moved through the pine needles, a sound like the world itself breathing. She heard the faint, rhythmic chirping of crickets, a symphony she had never taken the time to notice. And then, beneath it all, she heard something else, a soft, steady rhythm. Thump thump, thump thump. It was the beat of her own heart, a faithful drum she had long ignored. In that profound stillness, a realization dawned on her like the first light of morning. She had spent her entire life waiting for someone to see her, for a partner to complete her, for a job to define her, for the world to fill the emptiness inside her. She had been a vessel, holding herself open for others to pour their love, their approval, their validation into her. But now, in the heart of the silent forests, she understood. The light was never outside of her. It had been inside her all along. A quiet, resilient flame, waiting patiently to be seen. As the first sliver of dawn broke through the canopy, casting a soft, ethereal glow upon the clearing, the old woman rose. She picked up the lantern and handed it to Aveline. "Look inside," she urged gently. Aveline hesitated, then took the warm lantern into her hands. She peered through the glass, expecting to see a complex mechanism, some magical source for its enduring light. But what she saw stopped her breath. Reflected in the glass, illuminated by the gentle flame, was her own face. Her eyes, clear and bright, stared back at her. The flame wasn't magical. It was simply her own awareness, her own presence, burning quietly and steadily through the darkness. It was the light of her own soul. Tears welled in her eyes and traced paths down her cheeks. But they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of recognition, of homecoming. Aveline looked up at the old woman, but she was gone, as if she had been a dream. Yet the lantern in her hands was real, its warmth seeping into her skin. She smiled, a genuine, soul-deep smile that reached her eyes. In that moment, she no longer felt lonely. She just felt alive. Profoundly, beautifully, and completely alive. She finally understood. Solitude isn't the absence of love. It is the sacred space where the love you have for yourself finally has room to find you. It's where you realize you were never empty to begin with. So tonight, if you find yourself feeling alone, If the quiet of your room feels heavy and the darkness seems to press in, I invite you to try something. Light a candle, or simply close your eyes and picture a flame. Don't do it to chase away the darkness or to distract yourself from the silence. Do it as a reminder that the most powerful and enduring light you will ever know is not out there somewhere, waiting to be found. It is already within you. You are the light. If this story resonated with you, if it touched a quiet place in your soul, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more mindful stories. Your support helps us create more content like this. And I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me, what beauty have you discovered in your own moments of solitude? Thank you for sharing this time with me. Be well, and remember your light.